Okay, now we have the same problem, okay, except that we have only 6 projects available to us, and there are um, 7 teams. Okay, so like before, this is going to be our changing cells, and we do a sum this way to see how many times the teams are assigned, and now how many times the projects get assignment, and then we do the sum product of these profits. Okay, all right. So now when we do the solver, okay, so once again the total profit that needs to be maximized. The changing cells are these. So far so good. So these are okay. Now we have 6 projects and 7 teams. So the team assignments, okay, should be allowed to take a value of 0 or 1. So that should be less than or equal to. And then these should be equal to 1. Okay. And let's check the options and make sure that this is unchecked, and that's 0. And once again, you don't need binary or integer constraints. Okay, solve. So now we get a final solution. Solver did find a solution, and here are the assignments. Okay. All right. So let's. I'm going to copy the formula from here. Okay. Let's copy these two over here. Okay. So A is P6 and 53.33. So that's good. And we copy, and all right, so we have the total profit. Let's make sure that we got the right answer. Okay, since there is an NA here, you get NA as the total sum here. So we need to make a little bit of modification. Okay, so here these are the teams, and one of the teams did not get an assignment. So that's why we ended up with an NA. So here, if we add another layer, okay, so there is a function called if error. So we do if error, right? Okay, and then this formula that we already have. Okay, then so that would be the value if there was no error, and then the second value is the value you want for the cell if that function, if that formula works out to be an error. Okay, so this was not an error, so we got 53.33 and not 0. Now if we copy that, you see that NA became a 0, because if it's an error, then we get a 0 and 331.17, so that matches. That's good. Now we can do the same thing in this column as well. Instead of the error # n/a, we can say if error, right? Okay, so that's the formula normally. Okay, and if it's an error, then we can say not assigned. Okay, so that not assigned that, so we'll put the border back. So that's how you will handle um, when the number of rows is different from the number of columns. If you have more rows than columns, then the row totals should be allowed zero value. So you'll have less than or equal to constraint here. And if there are more columns, then these sums must be allowed to be less than or equal to 0. Okay. There is one more modification that we can incorporate. Okay, for example, suppose we want, okay, let me copy this over. Okay, okay, suppose that team, say team B cannot be assigned to P5. Okay, so how do you do that? So in which case, team B and P5, okay, it normally has a profit of 49.33, but then for some reason, this particular instance, we cannot make that assignment. So in which case, we can go back to solver and then we can add an additional constraint which says that cell must be equal to 0. So you cannot make that assignment. So we can add that additional constraint and then we can solve. Then you see that a different assignment is made and the profit is a little bit less. And you see, because we set this up as formulas, the profits and the project assigned are all automatically updated.